Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett along with Kent Myers. As you know, we're here every week. We meet interesting people, we deal with topical issues, and today we welcome back a guest, Ed Lake, who's been here a few times, but always has information that I think Oklahomans are anxious to hear.
Yes, Ed will tell you that he is the director of the Department of Human Services, and that is the largest state agency. It has 7,000 employees and a $2 billion budget. So it's no small responsibility that he has, but he takes his responsibility very seriously, even down to each individual child that's subject to his jurisdiction.
Ed Lake, today's guest on The Verdict. We'll be right back.
I'm Abby Cleaver. I show American Quarter Horses, and I am Chickasaw.
My name is Addison Cleaver. I show American Quarter Horses, and I am Chickasaw. Living up to Abby is very difficult because she is a natural at showing horses. Her very first class, she won it, which is unheard of.
So this past August, Addison competed at the AQHYA Youth World Show. She was top 10 in 3 classes, which is awesome. I'm so proud of her. I think it is such a privilege to have my Chickasaw heritage.
I think that was passed down to us to always work hard for what you want and always work hard in everything you do. Being an athlete and an equestrian, we understand that, and it's inspiring to know that we come from a group of people that believed in that too. We're very proud of who we are and proud of what we do.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Today, we're really pleased to welcome back to the set of The Verdict, Ed Lake, the Director of the Department of Human Services. This is his 3rd appearance with us. Ed came to us a number of years ago in 2012 from the state of Tennessee, where he had basically run the Tennessee Department of Human Services for a number of years and retired there. We were in a world of hurt out at DHS, needing some strong leadership, and I think DHS is quite pleased that it was able to attract Ed in here from Tennessee, and he's done a marvelous job since he's been here. He did his undergraduate work at East Tennessee State. He got his master's degree in social work at the University of North Carolina. He runs, as we said in the opening, the largest state agency that there is in the state of Oklahoma, and he does it with a kindness and a civility that many others could emulate. Ed, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ed, let's just start with your opportunity just to give an overview to the citizens of Oklahoma about DHS and how you all stand right now. What are your challenges? What are your successes?
Well, of course, like many other state agencies, our challenges continue to be budgetary. It's been a tough couple of years, and we try hard not to whine about it and not to cry wolf when we don't need to be crying wolf. But it has become progressively more difficult to manage and provide services to vulnerable Oklahomans with less and less funds to do it with.
Sometimes there really is a wolf.
Sometimes there really is, and I think what I would hope that citizens would understand is we do take seriously the notion we have a large budget. People expect us to manage it and to reduce our administrative costs. I can assure people that we have been doing that over the last 3 years, but there's a limit to how much you can do. You still have to have people to run the programs, to provide the services, and once you've made a number of administrative reductions, you can't go back to that well again. You've made those cuts. They're not there to do 3 or 4 years down the road. So Unfortunately, this year we've had to make cuts for the first time really into our services.
I want to ask you for the exact dollar amounts, but the broad, what are the, say, the 5 broad categories where DHS dollars are expended?
Okay. The largest categories of expenditures we have are in our Medicaid waiver programs, one's called Advantage, it's for the elderly. The other ones work for people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities. That's about 193 or $4 million right there. Another $279 million are in the child welfare program areas. Then we have another $95 million in what we call maintenance of effort requirements. In other words, those are payments we have to make in order to qualify for the programs. If we don't meet those payments, then we wouldn't have the federal programs like some Medicaid services and TANF, the welfare program. So we can't cut those areas. So basically then we have one other large area that we pay about $25 million a year to the state for our IT, our systems, our computer system services. Those 4 items amount to about 83% of our budget.
Okay. What about jobless benefits? Does that come out of DHS?
No, that doesn't.
And which part of government does that come?
That's the old workforce employment security. Can't remember what it's called now, departmental.
Well, what, do you have a hiring freeze on now, basically?
We do. We don't have a hiring freeze in child welfare. Of course, we're under the terms still of the court-ordered settlement agreement, the Pinnacle Plan, and we continue to hire in child welfare. I would say we have a hard modified freeze. We have looked at savings that we need to accrue in the administrative side of our business, and so we continue to hold tight to a number of vacancies, make people demonstrate high need to fill the vacancies, and then try to move those vacancies around so we're not crippling any one part of the agency.
Without getting too detailed on it, I know that our viewers probably are aware that the department is under the supervision, if you will, of 3 folks from out of state that are called, for some reason or another, co-neutrals, but they are part of the supervisory group created by the settlement agreement. How is your relationship with those 3 folks, and just how do you interact? What happens?
Okay, that's a good question. In the very beginning of the process, it was pretty rocky. There were some tough discussions between the co-neutrals, the monitors, and us. Each of us trying to find our way. This is something that's unique in the country for these settlements, and so we were trying to figure out what we needed to be doing in our relationship with them and vice versa. So over the last several years, though, as we have made more and more progress, that relationship has matured, and I would say it's quite collegial now. They are still driving the train in terms of expectations and pushing us in various directions, but it's to everyone's benefit now, so that I think we're on the same page, we're thinking about the same things in the same way, we don't disagree with the emphases that they're making for places we should improve, so it's very much a professional relationship now.
Some of the rough spots have been ironed out over time, I guess.
Yes.
Through continued interaction.
Right.
Now, these 3 folks are experts, are they not, in child welfare?
Yes.
And they were appointed by the court to have this supervisory role.
Yes.
And you had, or the department had some input into who that would be. It wasn't just an arbitrary appointment.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your plans on continuing to try to improve your child welfare programs. What are you doing about caseloads, about number of workers available to visit, and that sort of thing?
That's a great question, because it is part and parcel of a bigger picture. We've discovered, I guess it was around 2014, we had an explosion in the number of children in foster care. And it was pretty clear we could not keep up with these workloads.
Yeah,
So
did we ever figure out why?
Well,
the explosion?
It's multiple reasons. Of course, in anything complex like this, there are going to be many reasons. But you see this in states where there have been these sort of problems. So, for example, if you have constant publicity about a child's death in care, or poor child protection services, and you do that over time, then the whole system becomes anxious about not making an error in judgment. And so the system, the courts, it could be law enforcement, district attorneys, and DHS, become more liable to put children in care precipitously rather than take a chance of leaving the child and having something bad happen. And so, again, you typically see this in states after these kinds of events. So we wrestled with that, and it became clear that we were not going to make progress on our obligations under the Pinnacle Plan without having staff with reasonable workloads. That was causing turnover problems, backlogs, just countless issues for us. And so, but it costs money. Personnel is the biggest part of our expenses, and particularly in child welfare, where it's labor intensive. Your computer isn't going to help you much in child welfare. And so we have spent a lot of time getting workloads into balance and across the state, and concentrating in areas where we had higher turnover. And that has made a huge difference. Problem is, we didn't get funded. We don't have the funds, extra funds for all of those personnel. So we have had to move money around inside DHS in order to supplement the funds we have gotten from the legislature through the Pinnacle Plan. So we've in essence doubled down on our funding for child welfare, and continue to do that. And that puts pressure on the rest of the system, because, as I said, 280 million or so of our budget of $699 is child welfare.
Mm-hmm. Ed Lake is the director of the Department of Human Services in the state of Oklahoma. More with Ed right after this.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Welcome back to the set of the verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers. We're visiting with Ed Lake. He's the director of the Department of Human Services for the state of Oklahoma. 7,000 employees. Break that down for us. Who are they? What type of educational background do they bring to this role? And are there other individual interesting statistics or categories that you could describe to us?
I would say that a large majority of our employees are college graduates, not necessarily in a particular area, but mostly the social sciences. About a little less than half of the employees are in the child welfare division, growing division. We have employees who are in what we call adult and family services. They determine eligibility for assistance programs like SNAP, food stamps, and TANF welfare, and some Medicaid. We have employees who are case managers and work in the disability area. We have adult protective services investigators, attorneys, if you need a job, we've got some variety to offer, I think.
What you were mentioning me off air that there's a real need for employees in rural areas of the state. Why don't you use this opportunity to describe the need, and maybe we can inspire some people to take on that task.
That would be great. Our greatest need is in child welfare. It's a difficult work. The turnover is still higher than we'd like in some places. It's kind of cyclical, but we have streamlined the hiring process. We would welcome anyone who wants to inquire about employment, has a college degree. Depending on what county you're in, call the county office, or you can call our state office. But we can get you on the job pretty quickly now.
Are there opportunities for people who might have retired, say fairly early from another vocation, who want to give something back to the community and the state, and that might be interested in being a part of that system?
That's a really interesting question, because doing some county visits a couple of years ago, I've run into a surprising number. I mean, it's not like 50 or anything, but it's a small number of, for example, school superintendents or principals who have retired from teaching and being an administrator, who still want to give back to their community. And they're some of the best, most solid folks we have out there, because they know their communities, they're mature, they've got great connections, and they care about their communities. So that's a great connection for us.
How many different locations are there in Oklahoma in which you have an office, a DHS office?
Oh gosh, it's 120, 130 different offices.
Wow.
Now we've had to consolidate and reduce some, so it may be down a little because of budget.
Is there a
issues.
DHS office in every county in Oklahoma?
There's not now.
Yeah.
We have, of course, 77 counties. We have several counties now that don't have an office. We're looking at that as part of our further administrative reductions. Thankfully, because of computers and computer systems, and we're able to serve people, either they can call into our call center or go to a neighboring county that might be closer. So we're trying to be very thoughtful about whether and where we would close additional offices, but we may have to.
Are there areas of the state where a child is likely to be delayed more in getting the services that the child needs than the metropolitan areas?
Generally speaking, the more rural, the fewer the resources, and the farther the resources are away. And that's something we need to develop, I think, in Oklahoma.
What do you do with the child out in the rural areas of Oklahoma that needs, for instance, mental health counseling, and there is no counselor in that county even? How does that need get fulfilled?
A couple of different ways. If the family is able to do transportation, that can be arranged. If the child's in foster care, we may rely on the foster parent, or we may have to rely on our workers to make the transportation for the child or the family to get the needed services.
How far would the child be transported?
Wherever we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you keep a close eye on the state of Oklahoma, obviously, and its legislative process and the appropriations. How much do you pay attention to the federal level, because you're also reliant on so many of those decisions that are made in Washington?
Well, one particular area that we're really keen and focused on is Medicaid. And that's because the state, unfortunately, here we are in the throes of economic problems up until recently, and our federal match rate for Medicaid has been increased for a number of years in a row. So for Human Services, for DHS, that means we've had to make up about $26 million in lost Medicaid funding that we haven't received any funding to make up for that. That's just another cost we've had to absorb.
So you've gone ahead and matched it, but it hasn't been tied to a significant allocation from the state legislature.
Right. The federal government Centers for Medicaid, Medicare services do a rolling 3-year average, but it's several years in arrears. So we're paying the price in our Medicaid match rate for our state's economy 5-6 years ago, when it was better. And unfortunately, it lines up when we're not better. We've learned recently, though, that That's beginning to turn around as our economy got worse in comparison to other states. Our match rate is coming back up again, so it looks better in the next year or two going forward. But to give you an example, we were down around where our match rate was 30% or so, the state dollar amount, and it's jumped to 40%. So that's a significant increase in a short period of time.
That's a strain. What new initiatives are on either in place or are on the drawing board for DHS?
I think the one that has the most importance for us right now is not switching gears, but emphasizing recruitment of foster parents for kids with special needs, especially kids with multiple disabilities. And so we have, for the first time, really combined forces between our Child Welfare Division and our Disability Division, because there's expertise on both sides to help these children. We're going to be doing some joint recruitment. We're learning how to marshal resources so that those children can be served in, if they've had to be removed, in foster homes rather than in an emergency placement or a group home or something like that, because our ultimate goal is a family for every child. We may not ever get there, but that's the goal. And in this way, we think we can help support foster parents who are willing to take a chance, and it's difficult, no doubt about it, it's difficult.
One of the expectations anymore is that with advancements in technology, large organizations can become more efficient and find cost savings. But I'm thinking with 7,000 employees, a lot of your costs are employee related, which is not necessarily going to be improved by technology. How does technology affect your organization, and what are you looking for in the future?
Right now, it affects us negatively because we're still burdened with legacy systems that date 25 years and older. And I make a running joke about, the programmers that are conversant with legacy systems are in assisted living facilities now. They're just not there. We have just begun work on revamping those systems. It'll be a multi-year project, but child welfare, child support, and our family services areas will be the beneficiaries of that. Something on the child welfare side that I'm really excited about is more cutting edge, and that's the increasing use of, the term would be analytics. In other words, it's developing, like you see in other kinds of businesses, algorithms that can help you identify where to focus your attention.
It's a money ball, basically.
Yes. And so for us, the breakthrough will be in, are we able to develop algorithms that suggest to staff, when you run your case narratives through it, where you should be paying attention and how. What does this raise the red flags? What does it tell us about matching this kind of child with this foster home or group home? Would that tend to lead to more problems or fewer problems?
That's fascinating data.
It is, and we've got a ton of data. It's just a matter of being able to turn that into the productive analytic processes.
How do you analyze it, and how do you put that into a specific policy where it pays off?
Yes, exactly.
Ed Lake is our guest, and I know Kent and I have a special interest in this department and the great work that he and his DHS employees do. So I know Kent joins me in thanking you, Ed, for your service to our community.
Indeed.
We're grateful you took this job coming out of Tennessee, because Oklahoma's challenges are immense. And I know you and your staff do the best you can under trying times, so thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Ed Lake is the director of DHS. We'll be right back on The Verdict.
There are now 11 million of us who live here and work here. I was 15 when I came here 6 years ago. I raised my family here, drive my truck to my job every day. The only difference between now and 6 years ago, I do it legally. I wanted to, because this is my home.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers with a conversation with Ed Lake, the Director of Department of Human Services for the state of Oklahoma.
Yes, Ed came into a very difficult situation. There was a good bit of turmoil, a lot of litigation, and uncertainty about what the role of DHS ought to be and where it was going, and could it accomplish the objectives it had been assigned not only by the legislature but by the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma. Ed came in and with his gentle yet firm temperament has really put a new shape on that organization that I think our citizens can be proud of. In connection with what DHS does, we have two commercials that you have seen or perhaps just ignored as they ran. But we have a DHS commercial that asks for foster parents, and we have a Lawyers for Children commercial that asks for volunteer lawyers. I hope you'll, if you're a lawyer, volunteer. If you're not a lawyer and want to be a foster parent, volunteer.
We have some website information. You can get more information about Ed's organization at okdhs.org. Then this show has a website, theverdict.tv. Hope you'll log on there and tell us what you think. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week right here on The Verdict.